Isolation, paranoia, socializing, and things I can't discuss without getting bankrupt. The things that every horror media tries to achieve. Some will succeed and get to be the most overanalyzed media in all history, but others will fail horribly, becoming laughingstocks for generations.
It's just not good. It's fucking poopy. It's shitty stink.
But some of them are so uniquely terrifying that nobody even wants to touch them. So they enter the realm of obscurity and will get gatekept by the small community surrounding it. The reason being to avoid the worst demons and entities, the normies. If the normies find out about them, it's over. You gotta pack the bags and leave the subreddit. But Fear and Hunger does not need any gatekeeping. Only about 2 years ago, this game was so unknown that it was specifically played by Russians. There are two types of games that are specifically played by Russians: Counter-Strike and very niche horror titles. Upon researching Fear and Hunger, I found out that this game was made in Finland.
When I visit English and I take I'm old.
The country of Finland is famous because of three things: Angry Birds, good healthcare, and very interesting horrifying experiences.
Holy God, what are you showing me? His head. Come on!
I mean, everybody gotta express their sadness somehow, and high taxes is not a joke. I'll be running for the next president of Finland. I might lower the taxes if I felt like it. And I give homeless people free benches that comes in forms of subscriptions and cost less than $10 per month. Okay, so let's don't get distracted here. How can someone even think of something as sadistic as Fear and Hunger? What kind of things you have to go through to be able to make something like this? It all started with a simple game that everybody here has played. What will you do in this situation? And that situation got more unhinged over time. This game was made by mostly one person, Miro. At first, it was a pen and paper adventure RPG on YouTube that relied heavily on the comment section, and that apparently went nowhere. So that was one of the reasons he started making Fear and Hunger into an actual game. The menu looks very simple and straightforward, but the music, it has more to it. That crack sound fully explains the feeling you get when you dive deeper and deeper into the game. The word game might not be very accurate for it. Fear and Hunger feels more like a cursed file than a video game. By the way, speaking of music, this part's song was created by Kevin MacLeod. If that rings a bell, it's because he made this legendary music. Okay, so the premise. It's anything but simple. We got 4 characters, all of them are different and have their own perks and downsides. It's an okay amount, right? Well, here's the thing. When you get into the game, you will choose your own decisions in life, and those decisions will affect your skills. Like, do you want to be a thief, learn how to steal or lockpick? Or a man that has an honest living and you only get 30 silver coins for that, which if we exchange it, oh, it's nothing. You can't even buy one Sims 4 DLC with that, so what's the point?
This is unacceptable.
Each 4 of these people have their own goals and motivations for saving or even killing someone called Legard. Darcy wants to save Legard, who was her ex-military leader, who she loves very dearly. It's more of an obsession really, but Legard does not give a shit about her and wants to kill people and rule the world by giving motivational speeches with Subway Surfers gameplay. Kahara wants to save Legard for money and get some treasures from the dungeons. Overall, he wants to make cash. That's a respectable hustle, I would say. Ragnvalder, on the other hand, wants revenge on Legard for killing his clan and family because of an ancient object while he was absent. Enki, on the other hand, is coming to the dungeons for knowledge and some prophecies about Legard that says he will give humanity a new purpose. But actually, he's just happy to be there. No matter what character you choose, you will encounter these other characters in your game, and all of them are recruitable, unless if you play on hard mode. Having a full 4-member party could help to win more battles, but the downside is you got more mouth to feed. Also, every character you recruit has a chance of dying at any moment. Speaking of death, it's very common in Fear and Hunger. Dying a lot in a video game could have one very specific reason. Just suck, dude, get good, loser. But in Fear and Hunger, you will die because of a nail on some random plank on the ground that gives you an infection that only an herb can cure, that you can find less than a dozen of. So you have to cut that leg off and watch it and listen to it while it happens. You will die because you randomly jumped in a toilet full of blood and other things. But you won't die here. But you will be here for a long time, stuck down here, until you starve. Do anything you can think of to get out, but it's no use. But to be fair, what the f*** you thought it was in a toilet, dude? So saving comes to your help, right? No. When you want to save, you have to flip a coin. And if you won, yeah, congratulations, you just got a new save file. But if you lose, you have to fight one of the most difficult enemies or get decapitated slowly by a torturer. Oh, is that a table full of weapons that I could use? Well, toss a coin to decide if it has anything at all. Oh, apparently not, so I'm just having an episode imagining this table full of medieval weaponry. Oh, you wanna walk without the floor collapsing and sending you a floor lower? Well, flip a coin, dumbass.
Coin flip is sacred.
For my unlucky people, we have lucky coins, which you can have 2 coins flipping at the same time. But that does not mean it's guaranteed. Yeah, that's enough gaming for today, I guess. But this game can be forgiving sometimes. Like that time I barely survived the dungeons with my crew. We were scared shitless and dying until we found a merchant who sells potions with a very low price. But then he left after the first transaction. It's better than nothing. Wait, did I just get poisoned? Here's a spectrum of difficult games. These are the games that baby journalists cry about not having a mode for infants and newborns.
Can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
And here's Fear and Hunger. Playing Fear and Hunger is like walking into a room with Mike Tyson, but you are missing 2 legs and 2 arms, also bleeding from your anus. Oh, I also forgot to mention, you're gonna see a lot of wieners in this game. See these black bars? This is actually a mod that censors them. 90% of these are huge stingers. See YouTube? I said stingers and not cocks. Please don't limit the ads. If you do that, I'm gonna... Whoa. What was he gonna say? Probably something about burning down the YouTube logo in Minecraft or something. He's so innocent, Your Honor. Please let him keep his money.
I said I was sorry. I just need my half of the money and I will go. Your half? There is no your half of the money!
And these stingers can actually attack you. But you could also cut each limbs of your opponents. Yes, that includes their stingers and also their titties. Okay, now let's transition very slowly into combat. It's turn-based, which turns me off. But confession time, I never really played a game that includes a turn-based combat. I just see them from afar and assume they are boring as shit and continue to play a game made by fucking Ubisoft. By the way, did I mention how much I hate this piece of garbage? In any normal turn-based, each character can do 1 move per turn. But in Fear and Hunger, a character can do multiple attacks based on how big their stinger is. But no, actually they can do multiple attacks and sometimes killing you in 1 move. Despite all of this, I really enjoyed this kind of combat. The reason I love Fear and Hunger's combat is because it's more about your knowledge of the game than anything else. This combat's weird because some attack moves can destroy you and they are decided by a coin flip. So from what I've figured out, his second attack is always going to be the coin flip one, right? Oh, okay. So if I use lucky coins, I'm just winning, right? Oh my fucking god. Okay, so how is a coin flip not based on luck? It is. But you could avoid it. The normal guards will have that coin flip attack on their second turn. So if you don't attack and just use your defense mechanism and guard, you don't even need to flip a coin anymore. Fear and Hunger has this huge aspect of trial and error to it. Even though I really like it, I think it might push many people away. So many tips and tricks that I know about this game, I didn't really discover them myself and use the internet. It kinda reminds me of Terraria. I know, wild comparison, but in Terraria, if you don't have someone experienced enough with you or don't have the wiki open 24/7, you probably just see the surface of the game and you won't even notice that you're standing on the Burj Khalifa of icebergs. There are many things that you will miss out on your first 50 playthroughs. So the main currency of the game is not silver coins, it's not even children, but it is your knowledge of the game. A great example of having knowledge about the game is a boss fight that will ask you questions about the lore of the game. If you paid attention to the books and notes, you will deal a huge damage to him. Like, you don't want to fight this giant of a monster but have to get into that room? Well, sneak behind him, find a book to learn how to craft a disguise, or maybe put a bear trap to cut his leg off. If you've been watching the video till now, you should have noticed that this game is not safe for work. If huge tanks and stingers wasn't enough to convince you, there are also fairy conventions. Okay, so I can't really show anything here, like, at all. Just imagine a fairy convention with fairy people. If you engage in the convention for the first time, you know, you're just gonna get your HP back and just leave. But if you try to come back for a second time, you have to flip a coin. And if you lose that coin flip, you're gonna be stuck in a fucking fairy convention forever. I wish this was the only convention in the game, but there is another one that I don't want to get into because I know a lot of you are eating food right now and I don't want to ruin that. You could notice a lot of inspirations from arts of different mediums, like the obvious one, Berserk, Bloodborne, Dark Souls, or even non-fictional things like religion. Also old mythologies and really random stuff. This is what makes Fear and Hunger really personal to the guy who created it. It's something of a tribute to the things he really enjoyed, and it makes sense that he wants Fear and Hunger to be his solo project. Okay, so let's talk about the Silent Hill connections. The Crow Mauler is the Pyramid Head of Fear and Hunger, arguably even more terrifying. Pyramid Head didn't exactly stalk James around the town and his events were scripted, but the Crow Mauler does not work in that way. When you're thinking to yourself that maybe this game isn't that hard, you're gonna see a message down there. He will stalk you around the dungeon and teach you that the game is not only hard, but it's soul crushing. The best strategy to defend yourself from him is to avoid fighting him. If you're early on into the game and he catches your squad, all you gotta do is what I do. Close the game and leave a negative review on Steam, because the chances of you beating him with practically nothing, it's the same as me overpassing Mr. Beast in subscribers, but don't let that disappoint you. We're only like 200 or something subscribers behind them, as in millions. But if you're at a good point in your run, which is like very rare, you can defeat him and get a key that opens a door to a room that has his sword inside, the Miasma sword. One of the best weapons in the game. But be careful, because if you give that to someone who is a little unstable, you might end up fighting someone in your own squad. One of the best tricks that the game has, in my opinion, has to be the save room. In one of the rooms, you get a free save file. Wow, that is so generous. But when you wake up after saving, your character says that they feel they have been watched. So if you try to sleep again, you need to flip a coin. And if you lose, well... The The game has a lot of tricks. Another one is a sword that is stuck in a rock, and it's one of the greatest, if not the best sword in the game. But when you take it, the already unstable cave walls starts crumbling and collapsing. But what if I told you could actually get the sword without dying? All you need is this book. This book will teleport you into a later part of the game for a period, then it teleports you back. And now you can have the blue sin. And yes, I totally discovered this all by myself and did not watch a YouTube video about it because my brain is just that f***ing heavy, dude. One other trick that the game has are its status effects. Some of them are obvious, even a 5-year-old could understand this means hunger, but the rest of them are a little more complicated. Like if you got attacked by the crow mauler and he spawns his crows on you, there is a chance that you will get blinded, and this is what being blind looks like. But really the crow mauler is just some dude who has a crow for a head, maybe sometimes even more than one, but he's not even that creepy compared to this atrocity.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
He is called the Harvestman. Miro was doing an album cover for one of his friends, and since both of them really liked Kurt Cobain, Miro drew something similar to one of Kurt Cobain's album covers. And since he really liked the thing he created, he also made a few changes and added this to his own game. He's one of the creepiest thing I've seen like ever. I'm editing this with my eyes closed right now and I don't want to even look at the screen and see his fucking face. In one room, if you have the girl with you, he peeks from a broken wall, staring at you. Then he snatches the girl and leaves. Then you can find him here, petting the girl. If that ain't creepy, you're on some list, dude. But what's even more creepy than this is if you fail at a fight with him, something horrifying will happen. As I said, I know a lot of you are eating food right now while watching this video, so I'm not gonna show that thing, I'm not gonna show those nasty stuff. But for my curious fellas out there, it has to do something with the bottom part of the human body and harvesting crops in Stardew Valley. Yes, Stardew Valley, let's talk about that game. That's a fun and happy game, you know, like unlike Fear and Hunger. And why the hell is Pierre closed again? But the most disturbing thing about the game is the lore. And oh Jesus Christ, the amount of lore in this game, it's like 2 Bibles worth of lore. Okay, so let me just speedrun it. There are the old gods, goddess of love Sylvian, she created man and woman and literally everything else. There is a god of destruction, Grogrov. He's kind of an asshole, but you know, it's like yin and yang or whatever. Then there is a god of depths that I don't exactly know what kind of god he is or what does he do. He's like a giant ass tree that consumes everything and turns them into darkness. And there are also other gods that are not important in the first game, but very important in the second one, so I'm ignoring them for now. They rule the world from the city of Mahabre, a city of gods. But some years later, they found out about Twitter, or sorry, X, and they felt disappointed, so they just left. Around this time, a baby was born. He was called Almer. He wanted to bring New World Order and unite the world with his 12 fellow gamers. Then kings and rulers decided that he had too much of an influence.
Feed him to the lions.
So they crucify him. Then he ascended to the city of gods, Mahabre or Mahavre, and united the world once again. He became a god worshipped in many kingdoms, like the Kingdom of London. Yes, the name is actually inspired by the actual city of London. And London's flag looks a lot like England's, so this means Fear and Hunger takes place in Birmingham. And I didn't even make that up.
Birmingham is such a nice place to live. I love Birmingham.
A few years after Almer, to be exact 809 years, the world was in flames again. So a group of mortals, the Flowship, ascended to godhood to save the world and unite humanity once again. But that didn't last too long. A few years passed, to be exact 781 years after the birth of New Gods, a man decided to unite the world for the third time, but with no violence at all this time. He was the leader of a mercenary group who worked for London. His name was Legard. Neil One believed the prophecies about Legard. the man who was going to create eternal existence. See, the new gods were pursuing eternal life, but eventually they will be replaced by another one who pursues the throne. Nilvan one night goes to Legard in a dream and gives him a wet dream. But his phone rings and he gets depressed. So as a result of this, he goes to Oldegard, Scandinavia, to find the Cube of Depths. He also kills everything. He literally massacres a clan and kills everybody except Ragnarvalder. Yeah, that no violence thing, out of the window. Dars, who was in his army, warns him about that. Hey Legard, maybe you should stop killing people over a fucking cube. But no matter how many people you kill or clan you destroy, I will continue to be your Discord kitten as long as you give me free nitro. That is an actual line in the game and I didn't even make that up. For the people of London didn't really fight the same of Legard anymore and they saw him as the piece of shit he really was. So they throw him in the dungeons of fear and hunger, a dungeon that only the worst of people go to. At the same time, the dungeons are becoming more unstable. Like prison guards are growing huge stingers and weird creatures appearing in the dungeons. One of the captains started going crazy, and around this time he traded the cube that Legard had for some supplies with the cast of Avatar. He started having weird dreams of crows. You guessed it, he is the Crow Mother. But before this, he sent his brother to get some help and bring a rescue team. He also was very afraid of the Torturer, who was once a great warrior for London, named Torturer the White. He was someone that the children of London looked up to, and he got all the women until he got addicted to League of Legends. But in reality, he just got tortured again and again and again. Now he looks for people in the dungeons to torture them, the same way he was tortured. If he catches you sleeping here when you lost a coin flip, he will get you to his office and kiss you on your forehead. Or you could trade the actual sane people in the dungeons for items or the best armor in the game. Okay, so let's rewind a little. Our main 4 characters enter the dungeon shortly after another one. So let me talk about each of them and where they come from. Dars was a royalty who became a knight and joined Legard's group because he was so sexy and cool. Then he got exiled from London and she tried to save him. Kahara was the exact opposite of Dars, so he had to learn how to steal. He also joined mercenary groups and was hired to rescue Legard. The reason he accepted this was because he fell in love with a prostitute in London who was pregnant, but he didn't have any money to support her, so he went to the dungeons for this very reason. Enki was born into a cult and he was a nerd, but after a fight with his sister, he got depressed and went outside for the first time. He explored the world for knowledge, but after a while, he thought he reached his human limits, so he offered himself to Almer. But before getting burned and sacrificed, he saw a vision of a man who was so sexy and awesome and cool, and he went to the dungeons to investigate this. Ragnarvalder is Swedish. That's about it. But actually he was born into a clan of warriors, and his clan found a cube in one of their overseas expeditions. Then Legard came along and killed everybody, so Ragnarvalder was like pissed off, so he headed to the dungeons to kill any evil, but mostly Legard. Each playable character can be recruited, get into a fight with, and also married with. Oh my god, that is so cute, but actually it is kind of disgusting. By marrying, I meant 2 people, 2 different entities combining into one. The reason for this is maybe you just want your limbs back. And yes, you might lose some of your limbs, like if you have one hand, you can't hold 2-handed weapons anymore. If you have one leg, you won't be able to run as fast anymore. And if you lost 2 hands and 2 legs, you can't even move anymore. And you have the choice to stay there forever or quit breathing. But you could also sacrifice children for this very reason. But let's just say you don't have one with you because you already gave one for the sword and gave the other one for a book. Now if you try to marry someone who is in marriage, you turn into an abomination of marriage. Now these are all good marriages, but if you fail at a marriage, you will be transformed into a different creature and can't even move anymore for the rest of the game. A big example of this is the human Hydra, a meatball full of human beings. God knows how this creature was even created. I mean, I got some ideas how it got created, but I don't want to be arrested by the YouTube's government or something. You could also sacrifice children to them, and let's just say you're a psychopath and did that. You'll get nothing. So marriages can either make a stronger person or create something so horrifying that makes marrying a risk as a whole. The other way you could die during a marriage is trying to marry or sacrifice Nashraf. He's a kind of new god. Well, not really, he's a floating head. Kind of reminds me of that guy in regular show. There is this place in Fear and Hunger that by the looks of it, it looks like a sewage of gore and blood. When you search it, you might annoy Nashraf, and he gets out of the flesh and fights you. He's just a head and looks pretty fragile, but as much as the fights go on, you realize that you're not even leaving a scratch on him. A force of unknown darkness coming closer and closer with each turn. No matter how much you try, it won't even matter, and it's already too late. A bit of a lore dump here. He used to be a menace warlord.
I will burn this planet down.
He could also be recruited. If you go to the mines and find a mage, which is very dangerous and can dismember you from afar without even fighting. Oh, come on. You can talk with them about Grograf, but they say, oh dude, I'm a nobody, I'm just a mage. Go talk with my master, Nashra. He's a really cool dude and chill, but you gotta have this item or otherwise he will set you on fire. And with this item, you can now have Nashraf as a party member, which is pretty cool, but you still have to bow to him. Like, the amount of ego this guy has, like, it's like 2 YouTubers combined, and that is a lot of ego. There is also Moonless. At first glance, she just seems like another enemy, but if you give her 2 rotten meats, she will join your party. She also gets more powerful every time she pees. And then there is the girl locked in a cage. If you recruit her, she does not do any damage at all, you know, like, she's a child, but she's not useless. You can get her a dagger and, you know, she kind of does a little damage, but she's also mid-shield. That means she can absorb attacks and prevent you from getting attacked. But if you found her useless, you can trade her for a sword or a book to Pocket Cat. Let's talk about Pocket Cat. He is a merchant that won't accept any foreign currencies and only accepts children. He is very depressed and talks about how he wants to be happy and feel something, and asks the player if he's happy. He's like the first NPC that the first interaction with him didn't end up them wanting to burn you or scam you. He also says some of the most interesting stuff in the game. Until, if you really haven't been paying attention to my rambling, the game is called Fear and Hunger, meaning you have to feed your squad and make sure they are happy as someone can get in these dungeons. So food, alcohol, potions and also drugs are essential for survival. You could literally die because of simple things that at first glance doesn't look important, like an infection. I was once having a really good run, but then I realized I had an infection and I had it for some time. So if I leave one more room, I'm gonna pass out. There are 2 ways to get rid of an infection. A, bone saw. I think it sounds obvious. B, green herbs, which I don't think you can get more than 5 per playthrough. So I tried and searched everything, every battle in the room for a green herb. Maybe I could get it. Maybe there is a chance. I just kept loading up the save repeatedly for an hour, but no. No. So don't waste the stuff on party members if they don't help you. You can't really kick them out, but you could kill them in different ways, like not feeding them. Or giving them the miasma sword so you could fight them. Or maybe if the whole squad is useless, you could equip the miasma sword for yourself and kill everybody in seconds. Except for Nashra, he's just that cool. Okay, I just realized I forgot to explain the exact goal of the game. You have 30 minutes to rescue the guard. If you're late, he's dead. but if you speedrun, you can save him. Now, if you don't save Legard, that doesn't mean you lost the game. No, there are different endings. Some of them requires them alive, the rest of them requires them the opposite of alive. When you get to him, depending on your character, your party members, a lot of things can happen. Like if you're playing as Ragnarvalder, you can kill him. And if you have Darcy in your party, she tries to fight you. But if you have Kahara in your party, he goes, dude, you shouldn't have done that. But it's okay, let's just leave already.
Of course, pal. Whatever you think is best, I will see to it.
Legard also has amnesia and does not remember anything aside from his own name. There's this really funny interaction in the game that when you find Darce while you have Legard in your party, she goes, oh my lord, that is a horrible British accent, but anyway, oh my lord, thank God you're alive. And he's like, who the f? Okay, so what now? I got Legard, what now? Well, leave. Yeah, you can just leave the dungeons. That's it, the game ends. The rest of the video is just me talking about Barnyard for PS2. But maybe another time. Now there is this big ass ancient door that is blocked. You can open it with the same cube that Ragnarvalder came here for. That is now in hands of some blue people. They are very antisocial to say the least. They won't speak a word, but one of them tries to communicate with you. So from these interactions, you can notice that these people don't want to connect with anything outside of their own people. You can also see this thing here. It almost looks like a fish with human teeth. Not very clean ones too. This is the God of the Depths, and the reason why each person sees the dungeons in different ways. Let me explain it in a non-vague way. He's the reason for layout differences for each playthrough, which I think it's really cool to connect something like this to the lore of the game. He's the god to the outcast and the forgotten, like the scrabs and the cave dwellers. I'm trying real hard not to make a Reddit joke here. And also the Cockroach King. The Cockroach King is the least important character in the whole game. He's this guy that you need this specific skill to even talk with. And when you talk with him, he just calls you a peasant and asks you to kill Enki, which by the way, Enki can learn how to talk with this guy in his intro choices, and this has to be the biggest slap in the face for Enki.
I don't know how I could be so stupid.
Okay, so you got the cube, now you can go to the door and open it. Welcome to Mahabre, the Kingdom of Gods. At least, it used to be. Now, my first reaction to this place was, what the actual fuck? Okay, so we're in a dungeon, right? We got all the way down here to the lowest levels to get a cube from a bunch of weirdos and save this guy. And now there's a fucking hidden city beneath this, but what the? But you know what? Things are not as usual around here, so maybe this is normal. So here you can do a bunch of things. You can save in this tower for how much you want. If I hear one more time someone whining about the saving mechanic, I'm gonna call. My lawyer advised me to delete that part because it was not safe for YouTube. So here's a cool Risk of Rain 2 clip instead. Oh, I smell smoke. Is my PC on fire? You can also find the Book of Enlightenment that allows you to save anywhere. So the saving is not bad. Like, imagine how shit the game would be if you could save a scum the whole game. It would be meaningless. The game actually does give you some break. Like, if you find a scroll, you can ask for any item or a skill from Almer. Well, not like everything. About like 95% of everything. Some things are not even achievable by gods. When you sleep here, you're gonna have a dream of London. Apparently things are not going very well here. There's a plague, children are missing, and there is angry Londoners. Here you could see some backstory to the main cast of characters. You could also witness this. Even a more eerie thing is in this house. Okay, remember like 2 minutes ago when I said you can save for how much you want? Well, Not for free, because the world is a mean place. In order to save for how much you want, you first gotta defeat this granny. She's just an old woman, why do I need to... Holy shit! In one attack, she will literally rip someone's face off and wears it, and that person will die instantly. If you defeat her, now you can save for how much you want. Yay! And also you're gonna see Nilvan, and she asks you to take the girl to the Heart of Darkness, aka inside the God of the Depths. If you refuse, nothing happens. But if you accept, you're gonna receive the Endless Soul, which is very useful, because it's one of the pieces for going beyond the city. Because if you try to go now, you can't, and you're gonna get blocked by this dude. And you need 3 type of soul to even kill him. To get them, you can do a bunch of things, like for example, you could slaughter the main cast of characters for their soul, or asking Almer for 3 souls, but you need scrolls, so that is not gonna happen. Or you could kill the new gods for their souls. I know, it's just that easy. I don't know why you can even refuse Nilvan's offer, because it serves no benefits or anything. You just shut yourself in the food for no reason. You could also time travel here. That is really cool, am I right? Well, not really. It's not really time traveling. It's more of an illusion. You're just gonna see the shadows of the former people who lived here. A fake light coming from the dead sun. You can also visit the Hall of Gods. Mortals could never truly achieve godhood. They will eventually get replaced by another mortal who pursues the throne. And at the end of their cycle, they will sit here next to other fallen gods, chatting and talking with them forever. They will answer your questions about the places and people in Fear and Hunger. But I'm not gonna talk about each of them and give them a segment, because this video is already long as hell and I have not uploaded in like 3 months or so. I don't know, whatever number of days is in this screenshot. But I will talk about a couple of them because they are really interesting. Like if you ask about Miro, the guy who developed this game, they will say, there are things that not even God's gonna talk about. That's a very cool and subtle way to break the 4th wall, and I appreciate it. Another cool thing, by the way, if you have Nashra with you and ask about him, they just gonna shit talk him. Who is this loser?
Oh, riot shield! I'm a pussy that use riot shield! Tell me what to fucking use!
And Nashra, famous for being a receptive person and accept criticism.
Based?
These gods, despite being gods, are not any threat at all. But that does not mean the city of Mahabra is safe. There are beings wandering around the town and searching for their next prey. Like this guy, who the community likes to think is based off Gordon Ramsay. There is a pregnant mannequin that her baby will start walking closer to you and attack you. Look at his hellish face, fucking piece of shit. Upon searching the city, you could come across this guy, who has gone insane. So you could either kill him and get a pretty good armor, or buy him a potion and hand it to him so he could gain his sanity back and get back to his crew, Bachman and the rest of the rescue crew, and escape. And Bachman, in appreciation, gives you a ring that is, in my opinion, one of the most mediocre items you can have. Okay, just hear me out. Bachman would have turned us in to the torturer, so why don't we do it? I mean, obviously, it's not a good choice morally, but that penance armor, man. I need that penance. Fear and Hunger is an RPG, so obviously it has a skill tree with a variety of powers such as lockpicking, stealing, and I don't know, fireballs, portals. Okay, the reason I'm mentioning a whole ass skill tree 39 minutes into the video is because the game hides it here behind this door that you either have to be Enki to open it or have this very specific item. But once you learn about the skill tree, you will abuse the shit out of this game. But in order to get anything out of this, you need lesser souls, which you can get by using soul stones on normal enemies. There are 2 types of skills in this game. One of them is like actual skills, and the other one is magic. The left side, aka the skills, is limited to your type of soul, and each character can access to one of 4 branches. But that would be boring, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Each playable character contains one of these souls, so if you kill one of them and collect their soul, you can access their branch of a skill. These are useful skills like walking faster, stealing great items, or devour, which is kinda interesting. These are symbols of different gods. You will only get these ones when you have enough affinity with that god. By enough affinity, I mean like praying to them or sacrificing someone. Okay, I'm gonna place a bet here. There is no way you can sacrifice the guild. That's off limit. Can I even show this on YouTube? Traveling is a big problem if you're an under, right? I mean, you could get dash, which makes you go faster, but it's still walking and not teleporting. I'm sure Blood Portal would solve this. There are also certain enemies that using Soulstone on them results in giving you certain accessories. Like, see this giant ass snake? If you defeat him and use a Soulstone on him, he will give you an item that prevents limb loss, bleeding, infections, critical state, burning, and I don't know what you expect more. Now, don't tell anybody I told you this. But if you learn this skill, you can turn 1 mil into free and water into wine for getting your sanity back.
I tell you what though, folks, that's bloody nice.
Now, definitely don't tell anybody the next part because you will go to jail. If you go through here and unalive 2 dogs, you can enter inside this tree. And you can skip a major chunk of the game by just falling down over and over again. By the way, the sound design for this part is like diving down deep in the ocean, surrounded by mythical creatures. This stuff makes me I think the original name for this game was just Fear. But since there is already a game called Fear, Mira also added hunger to the game.
Stay out of my way.
The reason I'm saying this is because there is barely any hunger in the game, but fear is all over the place. Holy shit, I need the book. So you gotta watch your sanity. This doesn't also help with the magic attacks, because you will lose an amount of your sanity for each attack. To help with this, you could smoke hard drugs in a video game or get some alcohol. Okay, now let's get back to Mahabra because we got new gods to kill. When you enter his library, you see a man on the top of the bookshelves. He takes a small glance at you and then descends down. As you follow his path, you go lower and lower, almost like you are descending into a void of nothingness. Then you see the man, but he's different. Okay, so I explained this before, but for the people who fell asleep watching this video, he will ask you questions about the lore of the game. If your answers are correct, you will deal a huge damage to him. Although for later playthroughs, it's not that interesting. Oh no, he said Among Us. By defeating him, we get his enlightened soul. Now, we only need the soul of the torment. Searching the city, you find this ominous place that looks empty. You stumble upon this chamber that is definitely built upon for actions that are not out of good faith. Now you gotta sacrifice someone here or get a kind of clone of yourself to sacrifice. While you are busy trying to balance out the suffering of the victim, a man with no skin walks towards you and gets closer to you. But you have to fill this chamber with blood and try to stay away from him at the same time. So when you finish with the job and leave the chamber, the same man rises up from the pool of blood, confronts you and challenges you. It's quite easy. But then, the second phase. If you manage to defeat him and not make some mean comments towards the developer, you are now eligible to fight this guy and enter the Golden Palace. It seems that this place, like the rest of the city, is past the glory days. Even the dominating god himself is now a miserable man. He seems calm and warns you how pointless it is. There is no real domination. We are nothing but puppets. He does even help you to get back to a younger version of him, the one that wasn't aware about all of this. Here he is, fighting and defending his godhood. But his time is over. It's been over for a long time. The game ends. But it doesn't. You've seen the time stop. There's like 10 more minutes or so. Legard starts walking closer to the throne. Suddenly he reveals that he never had amnesia, and all of this was part of his plan to godhood, which is the stupidest plan ever. He gets himself to the worst prison in the world, and at any moment he could have died, and he does in most endings. You know what? For my next playthrough, I'm gonna speedrun to his cell in 1 minute and look at him bleed to death. Now you will get teleported into a place that is unknown to humans, but it's a realm of gods, the Void. And I'm not just talking about new gods, I'm talking about the original ones too. You can even find traces of Sylvian, not her in her complete form, but a fraction of a thing she was. And here's Legard, who is now for some reason naked. He leaves you two options, either kneel before him or die. If you're a cringe individual and actually kneel before him, he lets you leave the dungeons and brings a new world order and it's over. But if you're based, you kill him in his god form and you will leave the dungeons. Congrats, now your character is probably addicted to alcohol. But what if I don't have Legard with me? Well, you gotta stab the free heart of the god of the death to open his big mouth and jump into it. If you took the girl to the Heart of Darkness, aka into the God of the Depths, and travel all the way here, the girl suddenly changes forms. You try everything, but she distances from her humanity with each turn. At the point that is outside of the realm of human comprehension, and you just die there in awe, left to be forgotten. But if you don't have the girl with you, you will see the traces of Grogroth. But if you have Nashra with you, he will be cool with you because Nashra and Grogroth, they are homies. If you try to defeat him, he will say that even traces of an old god are still superior to mortals, and he will show himself in his true form, which to us looks beyond comprehension. Or you could become a new god and enjoy your limited time until somebody else picks you up. There are 3 other difficulties playable in the game. You got Terror and Starvation, which from the name of it you could put together that it's just fear and hunger but worse. It's always dark, you need torches, specific changes, like the Crow Mauler could just randomly break a wall and beat the shit out of you, which I think it's neat and should have been in every difficulty. You got hard mode, which is the same as Terror and Starvation, but there is a big but there's actually 2 big bots, the biggest bots you could imagine. You can save or have other characters in your party, except for skeletons and ghouls. What should I name you? What should I name you? What should I name you? Oh. And Legard is always dead. You know, who gives a shit about him? But check this out. There are S endings for each character. Endings you can't get without playing this mode. So if you play as Darce, she comes to the dungeons to find Lagarde dead. So she goes on this journey to find books about reviving her beloved one. She just can't get over Lagarde. So she goes through this journey and revives Lagarde. And when he wakes up, he does not need his mortal skin anymore, and he's now a god. But in reality, he's just a miserable piece of flesh.
You should have stayed dead.
Reminds me of that Mortal Kombat character that nobody remembers except me. Enki is a bit more interesting. He gets to the dungeons and finds Nostramus, an alchemist who is extremely friendly. And Enki continues his journey to the Grand Libraries, and he speaks with the new god, the big brain guy, I forgot his name, and he says godhood is just not worth it, man, and it sucks, it's so much responsibility, and people just whine and want to kill you and are mean to you. Come on, dude, that's not nice. And he also says that Nostramus made the right decision by not ascending to godhood. So this guy was supposed to be one of the flowship. Enki talks with them, and Nostramus gives Enki advice and an item to help him to resist godhoodness. Now Enki gets to the throne, rejects being a god, and reaches permanent post-nut clarity. Okay, now let's talk about Ragnarvolder. If you play as him, you have to kill everything evil in the dungeon.
You're a good man, Arthur Morgan. You good man?
Yeah, it's just that simple. Just get in, kill everything, and get out. And even when he gets out, he says there is still more evil out there. So he dedicates his entire life to kill more evil. God damn, that is the best ending. I wished he wasn't the worst character to play as. Okay, so let's talk about my favorite character, not Nashra, Kahara. He gets to the dungeons, finds Lagarde dead, but he needs money, so he finds this guy that gives him 2 maps for a treasure, but the maps kinda suck. But Kara gets there anyhow, but then this guy comes back.
Can't believe you actually found something out of the shit was I made. Now hand it to me, boy.
He dies, Kara kills him because he's the main character, and he finds a bunch of coins and crowns and V-Bucks, and he gets out to his wife, save his wife, and lives happily ever after with some PTSD. And oh my god, it is over. It's finally finished. It's finished. I think the best moment in Fear and Hunger is when you take a seat on a nice, comfortable chair. Think about how much you changed. Just before this, you were living your day-to-day life, not knowing about this place, this force. Even if somehow you leave the dungeon in perfect health, you won't be the same person again. You already know too much. That alone consumes you. So do I recommend the game?
I'm feeling
Come in.
Well, it depends. There are some glitches, some of them are like fun glitches like skipping a whole part, infinity lucky coins, and funny glitches, but some of them are not funny, like crashes. There are frame rate problems for some reason. I don't have the best PC, I admit it, but come on. Even my grandfather's phone should be able to handle this game perfectly. There was this kind of, well, not glitch, but this kind of thing that I think the developer just forgot to add it to the game. I had rescued Lagarde and I had him in my party, and when I met Ragnarvolder, the guy who wants to kill him, he's like, oh, there's this guy called Lagarde and he like massacred my entire bloodline, and when I found him, I'm gonna rip his nuts. Dude, he's like 2 meters away from you. There was this other thing that really annoyed me, but it's more of a nitpick. When your squad is at its max, people outside of your party are not gonna join you. And their excuse is, oh, your party is full, I can't join it. First of all, nobody talks like that. Unless they mean an Xbox party or something, not a present full of these guys.
What was he doing? Was he hiding? What was he hiding there?
And second, so you're just gonna stay there, wait until you die? This gets a lot funnier when your squad is at its max and you want to rescue the girl out of the cage. But overall, I think it's amazing despite its problems. I know a lot of people are not going to like it for being different or edgy, but give it a try. I thought I wouldn't like it, but hey, I just made an hour-long video gushing about it, so give it a try, you might like it. There's also a lot of things that I didn't mention because this video was taking too long, and I had the idea that I will never be able to finish this video, and I would probably just have to pass it on to the next generation. There's also a hidden difficulty that will rather come as a surprise to you guys. But warning, be careful, because you have to face your biggest fears. Thanks for watching this video this far, and yeah, this video was like hell to make. And the people who post about this game on YouTube really helped me out with this one. God bless you all. And shout out to video games made by only one dude, because they made it alone, and that's an achievement. If this video does good, maybe I would do a sequel to it. Who knows? I hope I didn't get anything wrong in this video, but please, if I did, comment about it. And by the time I make this video, we are probably past 10,000 subscribers, which is insane. Wow, I love y'all. I'm speechless. I also created and programmed an app called Discord. Sorry. And I made a server for the fun of it? What? If you really liked the video and had too much money on hand, you can donate to my Patreon. And Twitter, X, likes, dislikes, subscribe, comments. Imagine how funny it would be to just end the video right